Divorce me.
No,
Why?
because it's for better and for worse.
I hate you.
This is a story titled Married to a Street Woman. And this is Annabelle. We saw Annabelle one fateful morning return back from work in the morning broken. She was almost in tears when she entered the compound. She found her way to the seat aside. She couldn't help her feelings but to scream on top of her voice. When she screamed, the husband rushed out, Mr. Anthony. Mr. Anthony walked to where his wife was seated to ask her why she was screaming, what was wrong with her. She outrightly told the husband that she has lost her job and that was why she was screaming. Immediately the husband started. He told her why wouldn't she lose her job since all she knew how to do was to smoke everywhere she finds herself, that every corner of the house has been littered with sticks of cigarettes. He told her that he is sure that in her bag there will still be a packet of cigarettes and a lighter. Now look at what he did.
Divorce me.
No,
Why?
because it's for better and for worse.
I hate you.
To Annabelle, the marriage was a mistake and was like a distraction to her. But to Mr. Anthony, this marriage has come to stay. It is for better and for worse. Something happened one day that in the morning we saw Annabelle came out of the room with a bucket of water and her secret pack in her hand to go and take a bath and also to defecate. It happened that there is one thing about Annabelle whenever she enters the toilet with her packet of cigarettes. Anytime Annabelle enters the toilet with her packet of cigarettes, please, it's better you don't wait for her to come out because she will not be coming out anytime soon. She loves to spend time like hours in the toilet with her cigarettes. So that fateful morning, we found Annabelle enter the toilet and lock the door. The next thing we saw, Mr. Anthony came out. Mr. Anthony wanted to use the toilet at the same time. When he came out, he saw the door of the toilet locked. He walked towards the toilet and listened, and it was the wife inside the toilet, and the smell all over the place was the smell of cigarette. He already knew what that means, that the woman won't be coming out anytime soon. He stood there for a while not knowing what to do, but he decided to go back inside, hoping that this time she would not be spending much time in the toilet. 30 minutes later, Mr. Anthony came out and looked at the toilet. It was still locked. It was still the same old story of our wife spending much time in the toilet whenever she goes into the toilet with her cigarette. He stood there not knowing what to do. The next thing, he looked aside to look for alternative for him to use the toilet before going out. He found a bucket aside and decided to use the bucket to help himself. After spending more than an hour inside the toilet, we saw Annabelle walked out of the toilet, and we also saw Tony coming out from the back of the house with his bucket in his hand. He has released his waste inside the bucket with the plan to flush it down the toilet when the wife finishes. Mr. Anthony and his wife met themselves on their way coming out from their conveniences. They stopped staring at each other in what seems not to be a friendly mood. After a few moments of staring at each other, they departed. The wife went indoor while the husband went into the toilet to flush down his waste. As if that was not enough, look at what the wife came out in the public to do, and also wait to see what the husband did right here. This is the height of it. We found Annabelle with some items of food for their breakfast. After the preparation of the breakfast, Annabel handed the husband his own cup of tea, but the husband refused to take the tea separately. He told the wife that there is love in eating together as husband and wife. He wanted to pour his wife's cup of tea into his own for them to drink together, but the wife refused. She refused and told him that it is not necessary, but Mr. Anthony insisted. After much dragging, Annabel allowed that to happen. Mr. Anthony poured the teas together and they started enjoying the tea. He did that without knowing that the wife has a reason for telling him to drink his own tea separately, though that moment was so enjoyable between the husband and the wife. But let's see what happened after that. We found Mr. Anthony sleeping from that morning till the next morning. It happened that Annabel added something to her own cup of tea, and that was why she was telling Mr. Anthony not to mix the teas together. She added some substance that would make her get high, but to Mr. Anthony, the case was different, that he had to sleep from morning till almost morning. While he was sleeping, the wife was just aside with a cigarette in her hand, watching over him. When Mr. Anthony woke up, he was feeling headache, not knowing what happened to him. He woke up and came outside, looking around and not being able to explain why the headache and why he should sleep for that long. He needed to see his friend, a medical doctor. He called him on phone and they booked appointment that very day. Few moments later, after the call, Mr. Anthony came out of the room, dressed up and went out to meet his friend, a medical doctor. When Mr. Anthony returned, it was not friendly because he discovered what exactly happened during the time they were taking the tea in the morning. Now look at what he did to his wife. It was obvious that Mr. Anthony loved his wife, because in the course of him and his wife having issue, the wife missed her step and he showed her love instantly. He held the wife not to fall down and at the same time took her to the seat and rushed inside to get the needed help immediately. The next day, we found Mr. Anthony and the wife Annabel seated outside. The wife was very angry. She was smoking and was shouting at the husband, telling him to send her away, telling him to divorce her, that she is tired of that marriage. But Mr. Anthony did not say a word. Rather, he was looking at her with a smiling face, believing strongly that the wife did not know what she was doing, and at the same time thinking about what to do. After that day, the next day, he decided to let the wife go. The wife came out, packed her belongings, came out of the room and rushed outside the compound, leaving Mr. Anthony, her husband, and she has called it a quit. Mr. Anthony stood there strongly, believing that nothing will ever happen to his marriage, that he will still have his wife back. But let's see if his faith and belief will work out for him. Just as Mr. Anthony expected, he was at home watching every of his wife's activity on the phone. Her activities in the club, also when her news was all over the internet when she was arrested by the police. Though the arrest was wrong because it was a mistake identity. She was arrested because she was found in the scene of the incident. When she was arrested, after serving her sentence, she decided to return back to her husband. Let's see if Mr. Anthony will welcome her back, having seen all she did when she left the house. Mr. Anthony received back his wife. He did it wholeheartedly. Now I have a question. Do you think that Mr. Anthony is making a mistake, or do you support his actions, accepting his wife back after seeing all that she has done and the kind of life she is living? What is your opinion? Please drop your advice and your opinion at the comment section, and please share this video. Share this video so that many out there will learn from this video. Thank you so much, and don't forget, this is House of the Sons Global. Bye for now.